Gojo versus Sukuna is here, and I want to talk about it because I think Gege might be misleading us. And we're all about to be bamboozled because there are some serious plot shenanigans going on. So first off, let's go down the list of Supreme Evil. On the one side, we have well-known Lord of Betrayal, Kenjaku. And on the other hand, we have Ryomen Sukuna, the king of freeloaders, and his #1 bottom feeder, Urame. And in Chapter 222, we get a conversation between Urame and Kenjaku talking about what happens if Gojo loses. And Kenjaku tells her that after a battle with Gojo, even if he wins, this will be the other students' only chance to defeat Sukuna, and they cannot let Yuta and friends leave the battlefield. And at first glance, this just seems like Gege is telling the reader, okay, the series will end with Gojo losing and then he'll get jumped. And not only was that a predictable ending before Kenjaku said anything, it being told to the reader is a little suspect. And unless Gege has given up on all major plot twists going forward, I think this is a red herring. Because in Chapter 222, we get almost no information on what the students and Gojo are planning. And while the pacing in this chapter was fast, Gege was intentionally tight-lipped as to what they're doing. Do we really believe that all the students at Jujutsu High patted Gojo on the shoulder, said good luck, and then sent him off to go murder their friend? I don't think so, and considering the conversations we see Gojo have with Ichichi, saying he has a very important role to play, not to mention Yuta's conversation with Inumaki, there is clearly more to their plan than just beat Sukuna and Kenjaku's ass. And we are going into the Gojo versus Sukuna fight with multiple reveals that are about to pop off. We still do not have the full backstory of Yuji's birth, why Sukuna is called the Fallen, and how he knows Kenjaku and Tengen, or what all three of them know about the Culling Games and its true purpose, and the binding vow that Sukuna formed with Kenjaku, because we know that he did not have to make one to become a cursed object. And Sukuna is no idiot, he watched Mahito get turned into a Pokeball, so he should see the Kenjaku betrayal coming from a mile away. And as far as we know, Kenjaku is unaware of what Yorozu created for Sukuna, and he never planned for Sukuna to take over Megami. And while recording this, I forgot that Sukuna in Chapter 213 hates Yuji so much and punched him so hard he shook his hand afterwards. That is a tremendous amount of Sukuna punch effort. A lot of people think that Kenjaku is going to be the one to betray Sukuna and kill him. I think it's going to be the opposite. If one of these two villains is likely to die first, it's Kenjaku. Kenjaku has gone pretty much uninterrupted in his plans the entire series. He is far less developed as a character than Sukuna is. Somehow Sukuna managed to have more ideological depth than Kenjaku does, even though he's been stuck inside of somebody for 90% of the series, but that's just where JJK's at. Kenjaku's personality is likes optimizing curse energy, dislikes Gojo, likes Yuji maybe. And that's pretty much all we have for 200 chapters. He's an evil brain. But I do think there is more there, and whatever Kenjaku actually does at the end of the series, I doubt it's just going to be for curiosity like he stated before. I expect we're going to see some massive plot twist go on around this, and whatever Kenjaku does end up doing, it's likely going to result in direct conflict with Sukuna, because Sukuna is fully aware that Kenjaku is responsible for Yuji. And the fourth wall reason I believe that Kenjaku is probably going to get got is that Gege knows that Sukuna is the more popular villain, and Ryomen Sukuna is the name of the first chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen. Then the first four major characters we have set up are Yuji, Megami, Sukuna, and Gojo. We get our protagonist, deuteragonist, and then their major antagonist along with the major supporting character. And Sukuna is the major antagonist of Yuji and Megami, not Kenjaku. Kenjaku and Yuji have one almost conversation this entire series, and Megami is just a ride-along for Sukuna. So I expect that Sukuna is going to be the final villain, at least for those two characters. Kenjaku is long overdue having a loss, and him being killed by the guy he decided to bring back is pretty fitting. But even if Kenjaku dies, he's probably going to have the last laugh with his own creation in Yuji, because Yuji has always been the trump card against Sukuna. And Sukuna in Chapter 214 seemed to know what Yuji was, or at least part of what Kenjaku did to him. And once again, Sukuna is also extremely tight-lipped about this. We are 223 chapters in, Gege, just throw us a fucking bone. At this point, I'll take a 2-panel Sukuna flashback. So the story of Jujutsu Kaisen has many moving pieces currently, and a plan is certainly in the works. But let's talk about Yuji's power-up for a second, because the soul swapping has become a big deal. And yes, it definitely looks like Yuji swapped with Kusakabe in Chapter 222. But before we go out and start making wild theories like saying Gojo swapped with Yuji, first of all, I don't think this theory makes a lot of sense, and I don't want it to happen because Gojo swapping with Yuji just takes Gojo's fight away from him. And I think that's jumping a little deep into theory town for an ability we've seen for 2 panels. We have zero explanation on these two panels so far, and we also have no idea if this ability would even be unique to Yuji or Kusakabe just taught him to use it. But these two panels of dialogue and Yuji being out of character or seemingly out of character is literally all we have to go on. So while I do hope it is body swapping, I'm gonna wait for a full explanation of this before I take the bus deep down to Theory Town. But overall, in Jujutsu Kaisen right now, I think we're getting punked. Unless Gege has truly dropped the ball and is just giving up on anything but the most predictable plot lines, we just have too much going on in the story right now for it to all just end with a Gojo versus Sukuna bopping. Gege almost never tells us anything, but in this chapter they pretty much just blatantly tell us the ending of Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't think so. At best, we are just entering the final arc of JJK. And this Gojo versus Sukuna fight, it can't last anything more than like, what, 7 chapters at the absolute most? So given the weird bits of dialogue last chapter, all the hints towards a plan, and the missing plot lines that I mentioned, well, I think we're getting screwed with. Like, too much just doesn't make sense right now, and I'm really curious to see where it goes. But that's just my opinion, and I want to hear yours, so let me know in the comments below. Do you think this fight is going to go the most predictable route, or do you think there's going to be a major plot twist coming? Because Kenjaku does have that giant brain. And if you like content like this, subscribe for more. And as always, thanks for watching.